today. I'm actually a good old friend from Thomas. I'm also a kind of a professional partner as well. Just a quick word. I'm currently the head of a United Nations environmental program in Haiti, and I've been working for the UN for actually almost 13 years now. I met Thomas actually before that in our previous life, where we were both consultants in organization in a big firm in Paris. We were both actually quite excited about learning a lot of things with our work about the real life of organizations and politics, but also both really looking beyond these daily boundaries of our work and into new areas, and try to bridge what we were experimenting with our aspirations for a better world. And so we're a bit different with Thomas, but I remember this young consultant coming to me back probably in 2006 or 2005 maybe. He already had white hair, by the way. So just to just to do a bit of debunking here, he's always had this white hair, and it's not so it's purely natural. And at that time, I was working on the side on kind of pro bono side basis on NGOs working on ecosystem protection and conservation in Indonesia. And actually working with local communities. We happen to be Bajo people, so very interesting culture. And I was passionate about anthropological aspects, but Thomas was also quite interested in more into the wisdom and spiritual aspects of that. So we ended up actually a bit by chance, I would say, we ended up being sent together to Madagascar for work with the same company. And so we spent actually almost together, very close, working on actually having a kind of so on the day we would suit up and wear ties and talk to the Minister of Finance, the Governor of Central Bank, to design the financial system and work on the reform of the financial system in Madagascar. And in the evening we would have this long conversation about Thomas' aspiration for social science, all his work and all his past experience, particularly in Mexico, working with indigenous people in Chiapas for years in microfinance, and I would also share my experience in Indonesia, etc. So we would have this very long conversation, also like showing this very important part of Thomas, which is always like seeking new aspiration and exploring many different types of faith and religion and spiritual paths to try to get to get this knowledge and inspiration and for all that. So it's been a great journey. Just maybe a last anecdote I wanted to share, because on the day it would be this like very smart looking professional, and in the evening he would go back to his room, which was basically a kind of looking a bit like it in Matrix or this kind of film, kind of infinite white space. There was in his room, there was just basically one straw mattress, like handmade, very very thin straw mattress in a corner, and a mosquito net on that. And that was basically Thomas' private life. It was all about inner world and very clean and pure setting, and maybe just a book lying next to it, and he would wake up and do his tai chi or meditation on the garden in the sun, and then he would suit up, and then we would go to work. That's Thomas. That's a Thomas I know, and it's been so exciting to follow him all this way, all his aspiration for wisdom, mixing this with all his social science background, and then he moved to its PhD, and all these years we kept talking and having this great conversation from time to time, every time we could meet. he also worked with me, actually. We worked together then in Madagascar. We also worked in Congo, then in Vietnam. He also lately worked also with me in Haiti, and again on environmental economics. So he has all these different mix of capacities and aspirations. And I mean, there was only one guy that I know who would have been able to bring all that together in a very like smart and organized way, but also a very innovative way, and making it very comprehensive, very understandable for everyone, very practical. So yeah, I mean, I wanted just to introduce a bit my experience and my relationship with Thomas, and just really praise him for all this work. Maybe before I turn back to Thomas, I just wanted to say a word, a bit of usual cleanup for the meeting. Please keep mute. Please feel free, and I invite you to turn on your camera as well if you want, and particularly if you speak. When you speak, please introduce yourself as well. And we'll have just a few sections. It's going to be Thomas and and I. We're very keen on keeping it, I think, very, very casual and very, I mean, not so official, I would say, even if we have like quite amazing people also with us today. So I won't speak more. Just to introduce the agenda, we'll start with asking Thomas and Emelina actually a little bit of their day and feeling and journey, and we would also have a small session, about 10 minutes, breaking out in small groups, just maybe not only to talk about Thomas and his book, but also maybe to kind of connect with each other a little bit more, give us at least an occasion to do that. Yeah, basically then we turn to actually 7 and very amazing people to tell us a bit about their own reading and understanding of the politics of being. I'm super looking forward to that actually, and then turn to a last phase, open discussion, and you're going to be really welcome to jump in as well and discuss with Thomas or among each other on our own experience. So I'll stop here, and then I turn to Thomas. I mean, for sure, I'm really excited today, but I'm sure it's also a very special moment to you. So your book is there. It's been a long journey. Tell us about your feeling today, Thomas.
Thank you, Fabien. Thank you everyone for joining today. It means a lot to feel supported by all of you in this special day for me. I didn't imagine it would be such a special day for different reasons. Today I feel very joyful about getting this book out in the world, finally launched after 10 years of working on it. But also today, like millions of people around the world, I feel also a little bit sad because yesterday, as many of you may know, our beloved teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, passed away at the age of 95 years old. He's a Zen master, and is the reason why we have been living here in the southwest of France, next to his monastery. So he is present with us. I'm being told we all his continuation. Yes, in this book I recognize, and honor all the wisdoms that are in many different traditions. And at the same time, talking a little bit more about those that I know best, and especially the teaching of Thai, or as we call him, or Thich Nhat Hanh. And just to start, I wanted to, and we will have at the end of this session, this party, for those who want to stay, we will stay online to be able to honor his memory. So I wanted it just to read a small poem from him, because it really expresses how I'm feeling at the moment. and then I will invite just a moment of silence. My joy is like spring, so warm. It makes flower bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the 4 oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and my laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. Thank you. But it's so joyful also day to day. It's wonderful when I think about, when I look back into all the work, all the love, all the hope that I've put in this book, and all the challenge that I've also faced to write this book, and to have it finally out after 10 years of work. As I said, it really means a lot. I feel relieved to have been able to bring this book to offer this book to the world. I feel a sense of achievement. I remember all the challenge that I faced, the stress sometimes that has come with it. Like a year ago, I remember I had this manuscript, and then I needed to turn it into a book, and I felt very lonely and facing things that I don't know anything about. And finally last year went very well. I've done a lot of things to edit this book, to market this book, to find a community. Many of you I didn't know before. I was not really on social media. So I remember, how challenging it felt, how lonely I felt at some point, and sometimes I thought I would not be able to allow the book to become what I feel it needs to be. So it's definitely something that I'm savoring a lot at the moment. I remember when I received the first copy of the book. That was in November. So it came, by the post office. And I remember standing in front of my door with the book in my hand, and I could not believe, like something that was very esoteric in my head, or that was just some ideas that could take, having it in my hands and as a physical object was really really something. And now it's wonderful to see how the book is being received. All the comments I'm receiving from the people who have already read it. I had my mindful bell ringing on my computer. that I use always when I work. So yeah, no, I feel like it has been a long work, a hard work, often very solitary work. So now when I'm receiving, the gratitude, the appreciation of people, the gratitude of, me having done that work, it's like a surprise for me, because I've, all these years I've not received that gratitude of people thanking me for the work I was doing. And now having these testimony, people feeling inspired, people feeling moved, people feeling grateful for this work, that is really wonderful, because that's been, as I said, I'm used not to be with this book, but without, been used for that for a long time. And now it's very surprising now to hear people coming back to me with all of this. So yeah, no, I feel it's an important milestone, and still I feel it's only the beginning. I feel this reflection is will probably accompany me all my life. I think it's just a first foundation to that I've set. So I would say it's probably just the end of the beginning.
Okay, Thomas, thank you. You told us a little bit about some aspect of this journey, and sometimes your doubts and loneliness and the excitement of having the books in your hand. But do you want to tell us a bit more about this journey itself? And I don't know, from whatever angle you feel, maybe intellectually or in terms of personal experience. But yeah, tell us a bit more about this.
Yeah, thank you, Fabien. So I guess it originates with the encounter with native spirituality that I had 20 years ago in Mexico, when I was in a student exchange, about to finish my studies. And this really changed my life. It led me to prioritize my inner life, and it also led me to, because of the reconnection I experienced with the earth, I developed the sense of a deep calling to work for the earth. I was aware that this was really the most important issue of our times, probably, and I wanted to try to I think with this spiritual calling came the naturally the wish to be in service and help a little bit make this world a little bit better, and support this transition that I was already aware that needed to happen, and that we are into a very special historical times, this cultural transition of a spiritual nature, as I say in the book, that needs to happen right now. So I think that was really the beginning. Then the idea of this book, I think I received the vision of this book in 2012, so 10 years ago. And at the beginning, I thought about the idea was to have a book of contributions. I would only write, the introduction and the conclusion, with providing this framework of the politics of being for professionals, wise leaders from working in different sectors, to express this view of what would mean a politics of being in all different sectors. And for some reasons, I wrote to a lot of people. I was super enthusiastic, and for some reason I didn't receive a lot of positive answers. And there I want to I'm always grateful for Arthur Dahl and Jyoti, who are today with us, because they I think were the only ones to respond positively. They did write a chapter we never published. So I was really surprised, because I was sure like this was meant to be, but for some people, I was writing to people I respected a lot, and I thought like they could feel the same, and no, it was not. So I think at some point, probably in 2015, when I moved here next to Plum Village, the monastery of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, I decided that, well, then I would have to write this book myself. And all this time, you know, I was reading a lot. I think I started, by the way, I started to write on this book in 2013. I had 3 months I could dedicate to this book, and I started to do research, you know, on what was a spiritual or a wisdom-based approach to politics and development. And I found this sentence from the Earth Charter that say, when basic needs have been met, development is about being more rather than having more. So I wanted to offer a framework that could work for everyone. The Earth Charter was a text that had received a lot of consultation, in particular from religious, spiritual leaders. It was an ethical declaration. So I think that was a strong basis to find a common ground to develop this reflection. And so no, all these years I was reading, taking notes, etc. But at the same time, I knew that this was not a book I could write, you know, in the evenings or in the weekends or by, you know, session of 2 hours here and there. I know I needed to open a big piece of time. And for this, well, I needed to basically work much less and have the savings to be able to allow for provide for my family and our living. So for some reason I was not managed to generate the savings for some times, and I was starting to be a little bit worried. I would not be able to, you know, allow the space that was needed, and I had it in myself, and I wanted to write that book. There 2018 was a pivotal year. At the beginning of the year, I worked a lot. I was working a lot, and in February we had our second daughter. The first one was in 2015, and in 2018 we had our second daughter. And 4 months later, my wife had to have a surgery in emergency. So that was quite a difficult time for family. I was working a lot, and I was not sure, you know, if I was generating savings. And at some point, you know, during 2018, because of some complexity of the tax system, then instead of paying tax every month, then they started to pay me back taxes, no? And then suddenly I generate a lot of savings from a moment. And I remember at the end of, I was in the 31st of October of 2018, the 2 contracts I was working on ended up the same day. And the same day I was taking a flight to Toronto to attend the Parliament of the World Religion and present for the first time this reflection I was developing on the politics of being. And then I was able to, between the end of 2018 to the end of 2020, basically to write that book. Find the time, and that was wonderful. That was I was enjoying it so much. It felt so aligned. It felt so you know, I was feeling I was do really the best thing I could do, what really I was here for. So that was, and at the same time, I was so convinced about the importance. The more I was thinking about it and seeing it clearly, I was so convinced I had something that could be important for the world. This concept of the politics of being. So I enjoyed very much writing this book. I was spending a lot of time also meditating in Plum Village, almost on a daily basis, and it was nourishing a lot my reflection. I was able to sit, to contemplate a lot of the ideas I was working with at the same time, and I think that was very important for this work.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Actually, you mentioned deep call, and the expression deep call that I like very much. And when we talked together, you often mention like your life mission, which is a little bit in this book as well. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit more what it really means for you. I mean, you know, like what this book and what this content actually really means for you.
Yes, I think I have the sense that all my life I've been somehow prepared, you know, to and it took me some time, you know, I feel I spent a good part of my life, and including my professional life and my personal life part of it, you know. I feel I was developing different roots and taking the time to develop deep roots in spirituality. I did a PhD, so also in the academic world. I did a lot of different professional experiences. So, and to me, like, these were the roots that I increasingly saw, you know, just a mean for something else, which then I realized was good part of it was probably this book. So I feel like my life has prepared me, provided me the experience and the skills I needed to write this book. And of course, you know, on this journey, including, you know, my professional journey, at some point I was not sure if I was not sure about working in the field of sustainability, with international organization, what could be achieved there. I had also this very deep spiritual calling. So there was a moment I thought I would take a different professional path, and somehow when I look back, I feel this book makes sense of all what I've done so far. So maybe it would not have been worth doing all these things if not to develop this kind of new reflection that would bring these different parts together. So, and I feel maybe, you know, I was so convinced by the importance of that kind of ideas. And, you know, in this book, I quote a lot of different works that I admire very much, and I wanted to share these ideas. And I felt like, to me, it makes so much sense that I felt I could turn this into a convincing story that people would understand. And I felt that was so important at the moment, that it was very, you know, I was really energized to write this book and be maybe as being able to give me the strength, you know, to overcome these challenges and to be able to stick to this vision for this during these 10 years of writing this book. And I feel also supported. I feel the right conditions as manifested to allow this book to be what it is. I've received a wonderful foreword from Mathieu Ricard, which is a great support for this book. Despite, you know, knowing nothing about how to bring a book, how to edit it, how to bring it to the world, etc. I've received some good congratulations about the marketing, like the video trailers, for example, or you know, the cover of the book. So many different things we do, the website. So I felt like I've been lucky, basically, to be able to bring this book as it is. And now I would say it's like I feel I've put so much love in this work that I feel a bit like a lover, you know, who has declared his love and is not sure, you know, how it will be received by the world, in a very concrete way, you know, by readers, by the universe. You know, will there be good conditions going on to help this book. So it's really, yeah, I think it's really my prayer somehow. So sometimes I feel a little bit vulnerable about how this will be received, but I'm also very confident about the future of this work. Yeah.
Okay, Thomas, you told about being energized, and you also mentioned love around this book. I mean, your love for the message you're carrying. But you also, before that, you mentioned also some very tough time and loneliness and doubts. So I want to turn to Emelina a little bit and ask, actually, you refer to her in the book as a co-creator of the book. So I mean, can you tell us? I mean, maybe Thomas first, and then I will ask Emelina as well for her insight and feeling. But Thomas, how did Emelina support this journey?
Well, I think she's the co-creator, as I said, to me, of the politics of being. I think we have discussed, we have spent probably, I would say, thousands of hours, maybe, I don't know, at least hundreds, but maybe thousands, discussing, all these ideas. And this has been a big commitment from our family, and to make it happen, she has been very supportive into, we have had two daughters along the way, and she has been taking care of many things in the house so that I could dedicate time to write. And she has provided me, as always, very wise advice. Being careful to be very inclusive, for example, or in particular, I remember I had some friends who told me, "Hey, you're a bit crazy to work so much on something and not testing it, not sharing something on social media and see what is the feedback so that you can adjust." And and Emelina told me, I think it's good. I think you need to really open the space for your reflection to grow, to find its shape, a bit like a being, and before bringing it to the world, you need to create that space where your reflection can become what it needs to become, to put all your ideas and let them find their own place. So I think that was a very wise advice that Emelina provided me with, and many others. And I think we can hear now about telling a little bit about how this book has been, what journey has this book been for her. Thank you, Emelina.
Well, it's been really a journey, I have to say. Yeah, it's true. It's interesting because a lot of the ideas about this book really, they have been together with Thomas more or less since we've been together, the two of us, which is like now 10. We're going to celebrate our 10th anniversary of being together this year. So I think that's a beautiful path. But as a joke, Thomas and I, we call the book of the politics of being our third child. So I have to say that in this business, my role has been the role that Thomas played during my pregnancies. So I was present. I was there to listen, to discuss, to support, to understand, to be patient, and to have the sympathy, of course, because of the effort that book really represented. And it was really particular certain moments in which Thomas will have insomnia, because he will have like a big subject. So for example, for the chapter of economics and the chapter of world governance, those were huge chapters in which it was long weeks of insomnia. at the same time that we were having toddlers. So the nights that we were able to sleep, then the kids will wake up, and the other nights there was insomnia. So it was kind of tricky. And it was really, I could see him really going deep into the thought of how this, and it was somehow like even going into a trance of really going and getting the ideas he needed to really, you know, put out each, especially these chapters that were very particular. And I really remember after the chapter of governance, it was a really beautiful day, nice sunny day. And after the end, when he finished, there was some time in the afternoon and it was a long days. So he decided that he was going to take his bike and go for a ride. And so that he could do some physical exercise, because of course, when you're writing, you don't do much of physical exercise. And after that, he was able to have a really good night. And so it was kind of this whole process of being, you know, really concentrating in something that doesn't let you do whatever other things just to do that. And I remember as well that there was a moment in which it was the time really to find the logo of the book. And it was quite complicated to find the logo, and we were not really sure exactly what we were coming to, what we wanted to come to. And this is more or less the logo we came to, and that's the name of the book, The Politics of Being. And the circle that we created, it was actually my suggestion, with the idea of putting a phylogenetic tree, having a symbol of evolution and having the symbol of integration of all beings in this idea of the politics of beings. So that was one of my contributions really to the book. And as well, I think in that side, I'm a biologist, and being a woman, I was very interested in ensuring that there was an inclusive language being used. And for example, I was always very looking into the book and trying to use, instead of using, for example, mankind, trying to use humankind, instead of really concentrating in visions that in the way of writing it, that they were not only humanly focused, but we will also focus in the well-being of all beings, nature, the ocean, the forest, because I know that was in Tomas's heart. But sometimes when you're writing, you're not so putting so much emphasis in that. So somehow I became the guardian of that part. And then I think the most important role was really to cherish this dream, to be there, to know that this dream was part of the family, and that in the same way I cherish Tomas's dreams, he cherishes mine. And it was for us it was a very crucial to do this. And one of the things that I really have to thank also Tomas in this process, it was at the same time he was doing this, he was also a very big support for me, because as he mentioned before, it was a period in which my health was fragile, and we had a newborn baby, we had a toddler, and all the energy that comes together with that. So somehow we were, he was pregnant with the third child, and we already had two to take care of. So it was really a family being together and holding all this space together, so that he could achieve what he wanted, and I was able to achieve also my path. And I think that somehow that also the possibility that this book was written at this time, I think Tomas also saw and realized more the importance of a family in a political level. And the important part of the human beings we are, according to the support and the influence we get during the first years of our life. And I think the capacity to have an equilibrium with everything that happens around us and really preserving our family life has been a daily practice for us. And I think that is really beautiful. What I can say today is that our couple, it's like a bird, and each one of us is 2 wings. And our life together is based on a phrase that stands in our fridge that says, soulmates cherish each other's feelings and believe in each other's dreams. So I think that is what made this book possible, but also that what has made our family possible, and the beauty of contributing from different ways to the world. So thank you very much. And I pass my feather to Fabian.
Thank you, Emelina, and thank you, Thomas, for opening the door a little bit on your privacy. And I mean, this is something that reflects also through the book. It's not only a technical book; it's also a very personal endeavor. And yeah, so thanks for that. Yeah, getting us a little bit into the intimacy of the background of this book. Maybe Thomas, like a last word to you before we move on. Any other people you want to thank, or yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Fabian. I think I like first also to yeah, I feel like thank again my beautiful wife, because I don't often have the opportunity to do it in public like this. And I want to add that something that was key that she suggested was for me to include more of my personal experiences. For example, there is in the introduction of the book a few pages on my journey, which was not there in the first draft, and I develop also in different parts of the book. I tell sometimes a little bit about my own experiences, etc. And I think that I've received people have told me that it means a lot to them. It was very inspiring for them. I think it probably helps to connect more personally with the reader. So I think that was a very good advice again. And I like also to say thank you to Yaja, who is here on the call today, because she has been helping me with language. English is not my mother tongue, and she has helped me to edit the first version of this book chapter by chapter. So I had the pleasure to have her to be able to discuss my ideas. You know, that meant a lot. I mean, not only the ideas as I was doing with Emelina, but the very writing of the book chapter by chapter. And she also advised me to tell more about my personal experience. For example, on the chapter on family, I was a young father at that time. She said, "Hey, you should talk about, you know, from your own experience." So thank you, Yaja. It was really important to have you with me in this for this book. And yeah, no, a lot of gratitude. I mean, there's so many. I quote so many people from spiritual leaders from a lot of different traditions to social scientists. A lot of people have made this book possible. As I said, I'm particularly grateful about my main teacher for the last years, which is Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, who passed away yesterday. Indeed, he passed away, we could say today, because it was 0:00 in Vietnam when he passed away. So really the day of the launching of this book. And yeah, the Plum Village community with who I practice, and through the practice, nourished a lot this reflection. And of course, very grateful also for my parents, because I think they have watered, they have planted some of the seeds that have also contributed to make this book possible. And we have the chance to have also the mother of Emelina and her husband living just right next to us. So we live really as an intergenerational family, and they have provided us with a lot of support, especially when you have young kids. That means a lot to be able to have the grandparents next door. So I think they also contributed a lot to this book.
Okay, thanks, Thomas. Let's move maybe to a little moment, maybe to connect a little bit to each other's. So I don't know how it works, but the magic of IT will basically take us to small breakout groups. Just a few minutes. Please feel free to use it to introduce yourself and talk a bit to your virtual neighbor on what basically took you here today, and what do you feel about this book and the content of Politics of Beings. And then we can recollect and regather shortly after, and ask Thomas maybe to present a little bit more about the content of this book. So probably to share, I think, with managing that. Over to you.
Everybody hold on to their seats and let's see if we go smoothly.
Okay, and I see also Mr. Mayor who wants to speak, maybe, no? Or
oh, they're already on their way, bud.
Okay.
Okay, good. I think it's good. It's just the technology.
Cher, are you there?
Yeah.
There's people that have not gone to the breakout groups.
Okay. I'm trying to figure that out without shutting the other ones down. Let me pause this. Okay.
So what does this being more means? We could say that two dimensions that are balance each other. It's about becoming who we are, the best version of ourselves. So the best version of ourselves is something that philosophers from Aristotle or Confucius, cultivating the virtues, that's been very present in early political philosophy in general. And these two, so these are the two dimensions, main dimensions. And I would say that being also means all beings. So it's not only for human beings, but all beings on Earth have the right to be. It brings together wisdom and science, as in the title. So that's a bit the method. And we need to have a dialogue between these different paths of knowledge. They need to come together. Wisdom needs to define the direction, the general orientation of prioritizing beings, for example, and science can help us refine and implement, see what does that mean in practice, what could work in practice. And yeah, I've mapped in this book where the different pieces of this new kind of politics emphasizing being human-centered development approach is showing up, whether in complex integral systems, complex thinking, or in new fields of science, for example, around happiness or empathy, love, or peace and the culture of peace. So all of these higher values I've mapped in the book, translate. We see that there are some science developing around them, and they translate into actual political, social change, concrete initiative. And we can frame a very concrete policy agenda for many sectors, as I present in the book. So that means I present a lot of examples that are already being implemented. So it's not, it's something that can be very concrete that we can implement tomorrow if we decide so. So that's the politics of being. Just wanted to stay short.
Thank you, Thomas. Actually, I had a quick look at the website of the book, and I've seen very laudatory comments from Maturika, from various other I mean, very important and knowledgeable people, and so I wanted to, I mean, I've seen like masterpiece and game changer and groundbreaking. So I laugh a little bit because I know you for long, Thomas, and I've always trusted your professional capacities, but here today it takes a kind of other dimension to me. So I'm really happy for all this very positive feedback and very laudatory feedback. But maybe, I mean, we have the chance to have with us today quite a few very also knowledgeable and wise people. I'd like to turn to them actually to give us a bit in a few words and share their feelings about this book. Maybe I'd like to start with Jyoti Ma, who is a grandmother vision keeper at the Center for Sacred Studies and founder of the Fountain. So Jyoti, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you one and all. Very humbled to be in this circle here with you, Thomas and Emelina. It's quite an amazing moment of birthing something for our world, I believe. So I just want to take a moment, introduce myself a little more. I'm sitting here on the Pomo and the Costa Miwok people's territory, sharing with you today in Northern California, surrounded by the redwoods. So they're listening to everything we're saying today. Got up this morning to offer my prayer before the sun came up here. Just really wanting to open the day in the full presence of what we were wanting to sit around our sacred circle today and acknowledge. So I met, as a way of introducing myself, I can tell you that I met Thomas when at the Parliament of World Religions that he was speaking about a couple of years. I was with my grandsister, my grandmother's sister, Loretta Afraid-a-Bear Cook, who's a Gualasu. She and I have been walking together for decades now, really working on trying to get the return of the Black Hills back to the Great Sioux Nation and a lot of other things. And my path and my walk has taken me for the last 4 decades in walking with our first original peoples, our First Nation, our original peoples globally. So they've taught me a lot, and they've woken a lot in me, and they've instructed very firmly things in me as well. So when we met at the Parliament of World Religions, we were both presenting there, all of us, and we kind of met. The universe kind of pulled us together. We ended up having some meals together and sharing more of our heart and our passion about what we really were feeling, an urgency on our planet to really attend to and to bring into better dialogue and deeper dialogue about what's going on here. And of course, so as I look at this, your beautiful birthing, and I see that the two of you have, first of all, brought family to the center fire of all things. I think that's very significant. And I would say that your book, what you have birthed here is, when I was sitting with it, because it's a book, you have to flow with it gently. You mustn't just, don't overeat too quickly, would be what my grandma would say. Take your time, and because it's a bundle of seeds in my experience, and that each of those seeds has a way of informing you. So I can really feel, Thomas, that you have touched all the layers of something within this. I think it's also extremely auspicious that your teacher, that wise one that was guiding your own spiritual enlightenment process, has gone into the ancestral lands at this very moment. And so that would say to me that the ancestors have their hand on this, whatever this is going to do. You know, I've written some books myself, and what I know is that once you birth it, then it's like a child. You really can't control it. You really can't try to do what you think it needs to do. Now it's the following of this one you put to walk around the planet and see what it's going to stir. It reminded me also of the Eagle Condor prophecy line that I've walked with for so many years and been in service to. And some of you may know of that prophecy, but the prophecy says that at a certain time that North America, South America, and Central America were all one piece of land. And then there was great earth changes, and they've tore apart into these two lands. And as they did, the people tore apart. And that the people in North America were the eagles. They were the mind of our world. And the southern South America was the condor. They were the heart of our world. And there was this section in between holding the tension of this line of the prophecy, they call it. And they said that there would come a time when the eagle would almost take over the heart, but then they would turn and start to fly together. And at that moment is when the new time was upon us. They've called this the turning times. They've called this the time of great change, but it's been prophesied and spoken about. And so it feels like in your book, the eagle and the condor are flying together. You know, you've brought the mind with science and the different levels of science into this. Because our original people, they have a technology, a sacred technology, and they've got the wisdom of a science found in the earth and her intelligence itself. And I think you bring this to the forefront in different kinds of ways, in different places within this bundle of seeds. I'm also thinking of all the different places and the things that these seeds are doing. It's almost like your instruction and your mission has been to create a garden for beingness. And these seeds, each seed will be a part of what that garden is going to bring to fruition for all of us. And so it's a catalyst. It's a catalyst that has the possibility of stirring and awakening and churning things so they can start to move out of themselves and restore themselves to an original form that had balance. And the earth herself was our instructor. She was our main one. We all shared that. And so a lot of the work I've been doing with the fountain and this economic model that we need to turn right side up. When we do that, we will be back in right alignment with the Mother Earth, and we will be understanding that we are a part of this creation, and nature is us with feet walking. You know, we're part of this. We're not separate from it. So some of what you speak about in the book about moving out of the world of separation and more into what the new story will reveal. And the prophecies say that what there was, we're moving from the world of separation is what the Hopi prophecy says. We're moving from the world of separation and we're moving into the new world of unification. And so your book is also a call to the world family to unify themselves, to sit down at the sacred fire once again, and to deeply listen. So I just want to celebrate with you, Thomas. I'm going to have to flow off of this call right in a few moments because I've got another one coming up. But I am so glad that I was able to get here before the sun rose. And now the light of day is shining into your celebration from over here on the West Coast of California. So I just give great, great thanks to you and your entire family that they have held something strong, kept your focus, persevered, and now you let it flow, for there is truly something sacred in motion. Thank you.
Many thanks, Jyoti, for this beautiful and also somehow prophetic words. Let me turn to Mr. J. Naidoo. Maybe remind you, just maybe please try to be also as brief as possible. Maybe stay with the 4 or 5 minutes. That would be great. I mean, we love to hear you, of course. But we tend to go a bit beyond schedule. Now, Mr. J. Naidoo, founding General Secretary of the Congress of South African Trade Unions, former Minister of Nelson Mandela government and a board member of Mo Ibrahim Foundation. We are very delighted to have you as well with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fabian. And I'm as I said to Thomas, today I answer to a higher authority, which is my 2.5-year-old grandson. And so I speak to you from the furthermost east of Canada in Montreal, because we are here visiting, because we're expecting a second grandson. So family is foremost in my mind. And it's nice to be reminded that this is the purpose of life. It's if we are to continue as a species, well, how are we present in the lives of children that are to be born and that will inherit this world from us? And so I'm really, what Jyoti said, I share all her sentiments. And, I come from Africa, but my ancestry is from the south of India. So in a sense, I am a bridge between the deep ancestral wisdom that comes out of India and the subcontinent there, but also of Africa, because I consider myself African and was part of the freedom struggle and as you said, served as the leader of the trade union movement and then in Mandela's government. And now as an elder, I think I'm at a point where in simple words to understand that my ignorance is still far greater than my knowledge, and that no matter how much we try to change systems, tackle the injustices in this world that we have to experience, actually there's something as important that we need to do, which is learning what we need to do to change the human being. Because until we've understood that transformation, this superior and amazing technology, which is the most advanced that we've understood, is the creator of everything that exists in this physical dimension, in this material dimension, in this human experience of ours. So we spend so little time understanding this technology. And I think that I came to a point where it struck me in all the activism over 5 decades of activism, working alongside some of the most extraordinary leaders, including Nelson Mandela or Archbishop Tutu or Steve Biko, I understood that everything I've done in life is to prepare me for the work now. And we are at the moment of turning, because Africa is the cradle of all of us as humanity. And in this moment of deep trauma and instability and uncertainty and volatility, we have to go back to the source, not just the source and the cradle of where we come from, but the wisdom that is the DNA of that ecosystem. And then we understand that actually going back to the beginning of the beginning teaches us the principles of that ancient wisdom that we have forgotten, which is about the politics of being. So how can we understand being without understanding who we are? And that's our challenge in Africa, that we live under the shadow of violence imposed on us by religion, by colonization, by slavery, by a dominant Western culture that tries to erase who we are. But the very people that hold this wisdom hold the key to our survival in this environmental, in this ecological nightmare that we've created, because we haven't understood who we are and what is the meaning of our lives, and how do we rise above the limitations, the cravings, the attachments, the desires, the ego of this human experience, and understand that supramental joy of being connected to the source. And this is what my mother taught me, who never took me to a temple, but did her simple ceremonies at home and taught me the politics of being, that I have to be present, that I have to recognize that even faith is but a tributary that leads to a greater ocean of our humanity. Until we come to that point that we are not human-centric, but we are aiming to create an understanding of the indivisibility, interconnection with everything we share in this planet, that I am not more important than an insect or an animal or the eagle or the condor, that we all carry this cosmic energy that is the backdrop, is the God we should be praying to, and that divinity is within. And to become that divinity and reach the source is that journey within, to go beyond the void and find ourselves. And that's my hope, is that we are not discussing any longer the future of Mother Earth. She's been here 4.5 billion years. She's not going anywhere. We have to discuss whether we as humanity, Homo sapiens, has earned the right to be here. And the coronavirus is but a messenger to our awakening. We ignore that at our peril. Thank you, Thomas, for bringing the politics of being into the mainstream of our conversation about politics, about economics, about religion, about faith, about everything. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Jay, for this very powerful testimony. And I'm sure, as everyone, we would love to keep diving into this discussion and this experience you shared and vision. I have to move on, unfortunately, but thank you so much again. I want to turn to another amazing person, Mr. Federico Mayor, who is a scientist first, and he was also Spanish political leader, former Minister of Education, former head of UNESCO, where he very actively promoted the concept of culture of peace. He's also the author of many books. It's a great pleasure, Mr. Mayor, to have you here as well with us.
I realize that you have not listened to me in my first intervention, because I already took the floor some minutes ago, but apparently it has been something that were not well. What I have said already is that I think that we must congratulate Thomas Legrand, because this book is very important, And at the same time, is very timely, because now we are in a moment in the history of the earth and of the human being, in which, for the first time in history, we the peoples, we can express ourselves. We the peoples, we can be actors of our life and not only spectators of what happens. And I think that is very important. Then Thomas Legrand, in The Politics of Being, says that here we have wisdom and science for a new development paradigm. And this is what we need. We need a new development paradigm. We need to be able to substitute very rapidly this plutocratic system based on supremacism. There are some persons in some countries that are more important, and is always based on the great domain of the earth at this moment, that is military, that is energetic, that is financial, that is mediatic, that is digital. All those that are in the forefront of this very important power, not only military, I repeat, today is digital, today is, and it's impressive that they have decided at the end of the 80s of the last century, they have decided that now it will be the G6, said President Reagan. The G6 will have all the powers, and then the G7, and then the G8, and then the G20. What is this? Why we must accept that 6, 7, 8, or 20 countries are the leaders of the world, and they have all powers in their hands for human destiny? If we are 196 countries, why we must accept that they are in fact having at this moment in their hands the reins of human dignity? Therefore, I think that is extremely relevant that now we can have this book, this Politics of Being, based on wisdom and science. And as former Director General of UNESCO, I must say that at the end of the Second World War, when President Roosevelt created a multilateral democratic system, was precisely because they was thinking that now we must change, and we must have not the reason based on force, not the force of the reason, not the force of as the reason, by we must have in all our movements and at the worldwide level, we must have the force of reason, not the reason of force, the force of reason. And the Constitution of UNESCO says that, and this again is taken by this very, very important book of Thomas Legrand, is taken that we must, it is said, we must be guided by democratic principles, values. This is what really matters, because we are responsible for the next generations. You can imagine that now we are facing potentially irreversible processes. You know what this means? You know what this means? That for many years now, we are claiming, we are saying, be careful, because the oceans are the 2/3 of the skin of the planet. And the oceans are also being deteriorated. And the oceans are started not to have the capacity of taking the carbonic anhydride of the atmosphere. we must not only be always thinking in economic growth. There is another way of ensuring the welfare and the health of the people. We cannot think that always is all based on power. And this for this that, again, in the UNESCO's constitution, it is said that what is very relevant is intellectual and moral solidarity of human beings. All human beings equal in dignity. All human beings. Now it is true. In the year 1945, when the multilateral system started in the United Nations, this was not true because at this moment, women were completely out of the scenario, and all were men, and the normal human beings were unable to speak, were unable to express themselves, were unable to participate, were unable, therefore, to be democracy. But now, no. Now we can. Now we can. And this is for this that I think that when Thomas Legrand says that now we must have a new paradigm for development, that now our behavior every day must be based on values, that must be this solidarity, that they must be this love and hope, finally, because we cannot live without this. And it's for this that I consider that is a very timely book, that at this moment, yes, we the peoples, we can already participate, and that we have to be free and responsible. This is, I have said, this is the definition of education that is given in the UNESCO's Constitution, Article number 1. Educated is to be free and responsible. Therefore, now we can be free and responsible. We can express ourselves freely. We can be actors of our life, but at the same time, we must be responsible with the generations that are coming. And we cannot tell them, oh, you know, we are deteriorating the habitability of the earth. What a disaster. No, we must look at the eyes of our children and we must say, yes, now we can, because we have this politics of being. We have the action based on values. We are not anymore spectators. We are persons that are able to create, that are able to invent a different future. I have repeated a very important sentence that Thomas Legrand gives us from a Master Zen that says, the way out is in. Yes, the way out is in. And now what we must do is to be always active. We must be active spectators? No. What we must be is actors of our life. We must be not only looking what happens, but to try to have a multilateral democratic system at worldwide level. Now it's feasible. Congratulations for this very timely contribution to a change in those that have the reins of our life, on those that can change the culture of war, imposition, domination. Yes, from the origin of time, we have been always, if you wish peace, prepare war. And we have been preparing war. Now we are preparing war again. You know that are hundreds of military bases of the United States of North America. No, now we must have, and all the countries must be part of this multilateral democratic system based on values, based on wisdom, and based on scientific approach. Many thanks, and also I would like to congratulate Emelina, because there is no doubt that she has inspired a lot, very much to Thomas Legrand.
Many thanks, Mr. Mayor, for these very inspirational words and helping also us maybe bridging this gap between all these wisdom aspects and I'd like to say the real life politics of this world and what makes it change in practice and getting back to reality of current balance of power and forces that are at play to shape our world. So thank you so much for all these words. I'm looking a bit at the time, so I must rush to the next speaker as well, and I'm delighted to introduce Richard Barrett, with globally recognized thought leaders in value-based leadership and cultural transformation, personal developments. And Richard also works a lot on the metrics of personal, cultural, and societal well-being. So he's well placed to give us very interesting perspective as well on this politics of being. So Richard, the floor is yours.
I think Richard may have an impediment. He was some difficulties. I don't see him right now. So maybe for the moment we can move to the next speaker. You can introduce Fabien.
Okay. Yes, sure. I don't necessarily see all participants in one glance, so sorry about this. And I hope my connection stays on. By the way, sometimes I have a bit of delay, but so yeah, I turn to the next speaker. Also delighted to introduce Mr. Chris Rani, I guess. I'm sorry for pronunciation. Chris is a former British Member of Parliament, long-time advocate for mental health and human flourishing, who has been instrumental in introducing mindfulness in some 11 parliaments worldwide. This tremendous work, and we are delighted to hear you now.
Oh, hi. Yeah, my name's Chris Ruan. I was an MP for 21 years in the British Parliament and introduced mindfulness into the UK Parliament in 2013. And we've had 330 parliamentarians and 700 members of their staff who've had mindfulness training in the UK Parliament. And I'm also currently chair of the Mindfulness Initiatives Global Network, working with 46 countries around the world, trying to introduce mindfulness into their parliaments. And this book will help me in trying to do that. It'll help the Mindfulness Initiative. And I thank you, Thomas, for an advance copy. It's a tour de force. I was just looking at some of the issues that you're dealing with there: reconciliation, mindfulness, parenting, education, food, agriculture, justice, world governments, national governments. It's, I think Jyoti said, take your time in digesting it. I think if you try to digest this book in one go, you'd end up with a busted gut. There is so much in here. And it's not theory, it's theory with practice. It's a very practical handbook. And as I say, it will help me in my role, voluntary role, in taking mindfulness to decision makers and politicians around the world. And I think it was Jay, the former South African minister, that reminded us that we are Homo sapiens. In fact, we are Homo sapiens. We are the man, the Homo, who is sapien, aware that he's aware. And I think that's what we've lost since the Industrial Revolution. We've had that second awareness, that awareness of being aware, sucked out of us. And we're all the poorer for it. And I think part of that is because the wisdom traditions, especially in the West, have been jettisoned out. And there are many who say religion would cause wars, and they had the Inquisition, and there was badness abroad in many of the Christian religions. I'm a practicing Catholic. I don't hold that view, but I realise that we may have thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and that reconnection of wisdom and science, I think, which Thomas is part of that tradition, or up to date part of that tradition, is what we need. I think, and the idea of being and having has been developed by philosophers like Erich Fromm in the past, and Thomas is continuing in that tradition. And it is, I think, especially in the West, we have this attitude that we use money, we spend money we haven't got on goods we don't need to impress people we don't like. And I think on that hedonic treadmill, we're there trying to provide for our families, for our loved ones with material means. What they really want is our presence, our stillness, our being. And I think that's the core. And Emelina said it before, it's about the love of the family and the love of connection and the love of friendship. And as Thomas has said, it's the science that is proving this now. And the Harvard study of, which is now in its 75th year, tracing students who were 18 and who are now in their 90s, asking them at relevant points in their life, what is it that makes you a happy being? And it is about connection. It is about friendship and being together. So I think, as I say, it's a tour de force, and I love the way that he highlights the different traditions, the Costa Rican indigenous wisdom tradition and others in there. And there's so much of those traditions that are underrated, that are not recognized. The Ubuntu tradition in Africa. I'm half Irish and half Welsh. The Celtic tradition of connection with the earth, with the rocks, the thin places, the horizon and the sky, the shore and the earth. These traditions, the tradition of the Lakota Indians, and there's a lovely quote in here from Crazy Horse, that they look, when they make a decision, a political decision, they don't think about what the next week, they think about the 7th generation. And my country of Wales has learned from that, and we have established a future generations minister here in Wales, and we've had plaudits from the United Nations, which is great. I feel proud as a Welshman. But I think we need to acknowledge where that wisdom came from the Lakota Indians. And there is much more. We go down the Amazon forest looking for chemicals and plants and herbs that might help us for our physical being. I think we should be visiting the Congo and the Amazon and the various indigenous tribes around the world, looking at their actual wisdom traditions and learning from that, and testing it with science if needs be. So, Thomas, I congratulate you on what you've done and what you continue to do. It's a great book. I'm still digesting it. I'll probably be digesting it for a long time to come. I love the quotes that you've put in here. I've stolen them. I have a little quote file on my phone, and many of them have gone into there. So well done, and well done to Emelina. And congratulations, Thomas, on the birth of this child. I think it's the longest gestation the world has ever known, 10 years. Even on the elephants, I think, are 2 years. So it is a long time coming, but it's all the more beneficial because of that. Thank you very much. Or as we say in Wales, diolch yn fawr iawn. And I think I've kept to time.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much. Also, Chris. Yeah, I mean, and it's. I mean, let me also wish you all the best with all your endeavor on working with the global parliamentaries, and very happy also to hear like this bridging between a book and actually real life endeavor and attempt to make change in this world. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, do you hear me? I see a message here. Yeah, okay. Great. So let me turn to our last speaker. Another speaker wants to speak. I give you the floor, sir. I see you. I mean, we are all Thomas Legrand today, but please introduce yourself.
Maybe we can hear the last person of the panel. You want to go, Paul? And then we have.
Yes, I would like to very much. Do you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words about Thomas's wonderful book. First of all, I'd like to express my heartfelt condolences on the loss of his Zen leader. I know what a difficult time this must be for Thomas and all his colleagues and members. So my condolences on that, Thomas. I also have a unique opportunity here to express my personal thanks to Federico Mayor who very kindly back in 2014 wrote a wonderful foreword to my book, The Age of Culture. I was very grateful to him at that time and still am today. I think one of the interesting things about, I also have a book that's coming out in a couple of days, and I'll mention it in passing, but it's interesting that both Thomas and I both had our studies in economics. In my case, I taught economics for a number of years, but reached a point where I felt that economics was not going to provide the solutions going forward for basically two reasons. One, that it had totally ignored economics all the time. Economics was developing over the last 150 years. And the other was that economics, however important it is to our lives, is not the whole. And it's a part of the whole, albeit a crucial part of the whole. And I had a very difficult decision to make as to whether or not to stay in economics or get out and explore the perception of the world that I was looking for in another area. And I finally settled on culture as the discipline that I would spend the rest of my life in. And so I have this book coming out now on my 85th birthday, January 26th, in a few days. So I can't hold my book up like Thomas can hold his book up on, but that book I think is very complementary rather than competitive with Thomas's book, because the title of the book is The World as Culture, and the subtitle of the book is Cultivation of the Soul to the Cosmic Whole. And I think it's very much related to what Thomas is doing. We were both struck, I'm sure, very much by Einstein's view that we can't solve the problems by the same mode of thinking that caused the problems in the first place. My approach to the new paradigm that exists is through culture and cultures, and Thomas's is through spirituality. But we've exchanged detailed information about our two books, and there's very much that's complementary in our two books. I've called Thomas's book a masterpiece, and indeed it is, for many, many reasons, but I want to mention here that I think the most important reason why Thomas's book is such a masterpiece is that he has pulled together, as very few scholars and writers are able to do, an enormous amount of information about current developments that are taking place in the world in all sectors of our cultural life, pulled them together and made a very strong case for the politics of being, and that wonderful phrase that he uses so frequently and powerfully in saying that it's the key challenge at our present time is to move from a politics of having to a politics of being. It just expresses so much about the direction we have to go in the future. I really think that Thomas's book requires a great deal of a reflection, particularly by governments in general and governance across many sectors in particular. I think it's very important for us to realize that Thomas has called his book The Politics of Being. And as such, it's opened the door for us to have a good, hard, long look at the role that governments in general, international organizations in particular, and other political and diplomatic organizations, institutions have to play in creating the new paradigm for the future. Thomas has provided the basis and the driving force for this, and now I think we have to give very much importance to the significance of that key to the challenge, and how we'll take it forward by introducing the practical and operational requirements that are needed in our governmental and governance systems in the future. Thank you so much, Thomas, for all the hard work and slaving you've done over this book. It's a marvelous achievement, and you're to be greatly congratulated on the work that you've done on it and bringing it to fruition along with your wife and your family. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Paul, for this spontaneous testimony. We appreciate that. Let me turn, for sake of time, to Laurence de Fontenay, who is the Chief Human Resource Officer and Executive Coach at Naidoo. So we get another perspective, very interesting perspective on this book from this professional from a large European real estate operator, looking at triple positive impacts for people, the planet, and profits, as well as we turn to the private sector. So Laurence de Fontenay, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Fabian. I'm really touched to be here today, actually, because I am a close friend to Emelina first, and then Thomas, that I get to know. And maybe the only chapter that I want to talk about is the chapter about leadership. Although the other chapters of his book are really, nice chapters, but the one that really touched me the most was the one about leadership. And I mean, I run some development program for executive in companies, and I mean, Thomas, you talked about having more, and in huge companies we talk a lot about doing more, and this book, Politics of Being, pushes me to ask the question about being more. So the question is more, who do you want to be as a leader in a company? And very often there is quite a silence when I ask this question, because it's a complete change of way of seeing what is our responsibility in companies. Who do you want to be in a company is not a question that we often ask, and although the answer is very important because it gives a sense of responsibility on how we interact with our people, how we interact as a company within our ecosystem. So, and there is no separation, as you said, and this question of who do you want to be is really my contribution to your to the spread of your book and the ideas of the book. So it's and I think the companies have a huge responsibility in doing business differently, in a more respectful way, whether it be for people or for planet. So I mean, yeah, it is my small contribution to how to spread this new paradigm that you are talking about, and I recommend that you read the book, yes, because it's a really good, completely new way of seeing things. So thank you, Thomas, and thank you, Emelina, too.
Thank you so much, Laurence, as well. Let me maybe take the floor. I really want to thank you. I mean, we're reaching the end of this panel. We're a bit late, so we're also technically reaching the end of this meeting, but I really invite you to stay with us and continue for whoever has the time. So we're still together if you want so. And I want to also recognize and thanks different participants for some time very interesting and insightful inputs into the chat as well. So thank you all. Let me give the floor now to Thomas, actually, maybe to briefly comment on what we've heard and take us to a like maybe reaction, question and answer session. Thomas.
Yes, thank you. Well, that's so humbling and so wonderful to feel like there's a community around me that shares this dream. I often use this image. I think it's the last quote of the book from John Lennon. Let me check it because It's just here. So it says, a dream you dream alone is only a dream. A dream you dream together is reality. So that's the last words of this book. And I've started, quite alone for a long time in writing this book, but I can see how, and the feedbacks I have and the endorsements, that I think there's a lot of hope in bringing this message. I'm a believer in this work. I don't take the pride for me. It comes from a lot of work. Maybe I've not shared that, but I often say that to me when I was writing this book, each time, I was able to have an insight and see things more clearly. And I was always telling to Emelina, why nobody has written that book if it's that simple and that clear? No, I could not understand that. We had this already 20 years ago, and all this sentence I was building on from the Earth Charter about, development is about being more. Why nobody has really developed that and proposed a framework to reflect on that and propose a very concrete direction on how to make that happen. So that's why, maybe because I was so convinced about the potential need for this reflection, and now it really feels wonderful to have all of you today. The qualities of the people that are here to launch this book is amazing. And it's funny also that when we started the call, we started to see a lot of people coming in with my name on their Zoom image. So there's there's still a lot in this call, I think, quite some Thomas Legrand. So I said, well, this is a very good sign, because then maybe they're all ambassadors, of this, that will be able to bring this message to the world. So yeah, we all, it's not about my reflection. I build it just on the work of many others, as to offer it as something that could work for everyone. I think there is, it's an inclusive framework. There is room to accommodate all relevant claims and initiatives that believe in this vision. So no, I'm glad to see some people are saying, I'm recommending to everyone I talk to, or I'm offering it to people. The people put the message on social media. So, now it's, I said it's my mission, but sometimes I feel like because it's my mission, there's always more or better to do. But I realize also that, it's starting also very small, and it's in your hands, all of you now, to make that happen. So thank you so much for being here. We have reached the time. Maybe, I don't know if there's some pressing, people want to just say a few words because they really need to. We can still accommodate that, and then we'll have a transition. As I said, people want to stay in the call. We'll have a video of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, and we will stay together because it's also a special day because of his passing away. And we will stay. It means a lot for some of us in this call today, so we can stay also later on together to just share about a relationship with him, what we owe to him, and how we're feeling today. So thank you all. Thank you. Maybe just open a quick space if some people want to say 3 or 4 words, just not to stay too long. It has already been 2 hours together. Wonderful. I think I couldn't dream a better way to launch this book. Thank you all.
I think Risa had raised her hand previously.
Thank you. I try to be brief. I know Thomas from Plum Village, and the 25 years I've had involvement there, and been so gifted by being touched by Thai and the whole Sangha. And a few years ago, I was working to develop a healthcare committee in Plum Village before I went to Vietnam and then Thailand, to the other villages, and met Thomas and Emelina, and they're two beautiful sweetheart girls. And I just want to say that my doctorate is in psychology, and I write about somatic intelligence and mindfulness, embodied mindfulness, and teach about that. And I felt that so much meeting. The first time I met Thomas, his daughters were practicing like contact improv, rolling their weight all over him, and he was speaking to the group in this meeting that we had in Plum Village, and with his daughters, like nothing was interrupted. It was so beautiful to see, and all of the intelligence and presence, and like he didn't, I call it non-adulterous attention when I teach dialogue as social meditation. His ability to be present with the group and with what he was, bringing forth, the insights he had, and with his daughters, and like everything was just part of that beautiful flow of beingness. And I thought, wow, it's been such an honor to be friends, and to, many years ago, I stopped calling myself a psychotherapist and called myself a cultural midwife, and to help support people in wombing themselves into being, giving birth to their sovereign selves. And I just, I bowed to Emelina, to Thomas, the way you've wombed that beautiful family, and at the same time, the beautiful birth of this beautiful work that it had to be birthed at this sacred time. And what a gift to rise up, like a phoenix in this critical moment. And I'm just so grateful. So sorry to go on so long, but I feel very moved to be here. And it just seems so not any accident. How could it be? Thai entering into the infinite expression in the day that your book is being launched. It's like such blessing. And thank you. Thank you all for making this beautiful Sangha together.
Thank you, Risa. Maybe that's the transition. We have been together for 2 hours now. Thank you so much for taking the time on a Saturday to be there. I don't know if someone want to jump in for 30 seconds or something, but keep the floor open, and then we'll transition towards this other celebration of today. Thank you all. I think we can go. I think the book now is in your hands, and thank you. We are really together into this. Thanks. I think share. We can now, I will have a video about honoring Thich Nhat Hanh, and then we'll come back for those that wants to stay to honor his memory. It's very special for me to, as I said in the beginning, to honor these two, this birth and the passing away of my teacher, beloved teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh and Master Thich Nhat Hanh. Thank you. Indeed, maybe that's okay. So yeah, I think
Okay.
we
So
We will share it in a
are-
minute again because we had a problem with the sound. So just give us a minute and then we will be online again.
and we can stop the recording and but yeah.